Hi, I'm David Gervino with the DuPage County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Today we're here at our offices with officials from the American Red Cross, FEMA, the Illinois Emergency Management Agency, and the Small Business Administration. What we're doing is we're going to have a brief meeting inside of our facility to go over the flood damage that's occurred and to make our case for why we feel that DuPage County should be included in a disaster declaration, because our residents need assistance that would be made available potentially by a disaster declaration. So we're headed in right now to the meeting, and then afterwards we're going to actually go out into the communities and meet with local emergency managers and conduct a tour of the flood damaged areas. My name is David Gervino. I'm one of the emergency management coordinators here at DuPage County, and I coordinate our recovery efforts here. So I'll be working closely with IEMA and SBA and FEMA over the next several weeks, probably months, if we are fortunate enough to get a declaration. What I thought we'd do is just take a few minutes and briefly go over how the storms impacted DuPage County, pull up some maps and let you know this is the order that we want to go in, and also have subject matter experts here from GIS and from stormwater in case you had any specific questions for them. And then once we actually roll out into the field, we do have some Red Cross assets that will be joining us. We're really fortunate to have a great relationship with the Red Cross. They're actually sending us, I think, 8 ERVs, emergency response vehicles, and 2 box trucks with cleanup kits. That is, you folks are conducting your assessments, they'll actually be out handing to people. So we're really excited to have them with us. With that, maybe if we could just go around the room real quick for introductions. Again, my name is Dave Gervino. Carmi?
I'm Carmela Birdie. I'm with DuPage GIS, and I've created some maps that I'll show you guys a little bit. And
I'll mention as well, she's going to show you a bunch of maps. If there are other maps or any other mapping assets that you need until or unless you have a JFO set up here with your own GIS, I'm sure she'd be more than happy to print up whatever you need.
I'm Kate Max, and I'm with IEMA. Yeah, the maps are going to be useful, something that shows the streets so that we can kind of figure out where we're at, especially since we have 2 teams that are going to be in the same town. We need to figure out where they're going to be and where we're going to be so we're not double doing it.
Sure. And I've also asked each municipality, I've left it up to them. Some, as you would imagine, are much better resourced than others. Some have their own GIS departments and have asked, like Lyle, which will be our first stop. When we meet with them, they're actually going to meet with us at their office and just and I let everyone know it needs to be quick, because I know you guys want to be out in the field and actually get stuff done as opposed to meeting about what we're going to eventually do, right? So some places will have their own individual maps and photos and stuff as well, whereas others won't. So Carmi's available to fill in the gaps if we go somewhere where they don't have quite as much as you'd like. We can certainly help with that.
Holly Knezovich with IEMA.
Seth Gardner, PDA Field Specialist.
John Mosier with SBA. Jim Sadler, another PDA Specialist.
Ronald Morris with SBA.
Jared Owen with IEMA, and I'm here for the week.
Great. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Tom Stein from IEMA, and I'm here as long as he has to be here.
Trent Thompson with the IEMA. I'm the ops chief. I'm more on the response side, so I'm just watching what other guys do and wash my hands of the whole thing.
All right.
Sophia Raba, DuPage OEM.
Bill?
I'm Bill Babiar. I'm Deputy Director with DuPage OEM. I appreciate everybody coming here, getting this off the ground. As you know, David Gervino is our point of contact for everything. He's got a great staff here at OEM and county departments working for him. He's been through this several times, unfortunately, the presidential disasters, declarations, state declarations. So hopefully this will go smooth. If there's anything you need, David is your point. So thank you.
Good. Thank you. Sir?
Dwayne Castaldi, FEMA.
Okay.
Scott Richardson, FEMA PDA Specialist.
Welcome.
Sarah Hunt, DuPage County Stormwater Management, Flood Control Operations.
All right.
Shauna Kelly, PIO for the DuPage County Board.
Robert Sanchez, I'm a reporter with the Daily Herald.
Okay, and then we also have with us 2 duty officers who managed our EOC, along with our Deputy Director, Dave Adler, in the back there, and Craig Diekman. And with that, we'll turn it over to Craig, and we'll get moving.
Thanks, Craig.
Good morning, and thank you for being here this morning. A couple of weeks ago, it started raining, and we'll just give you a quick overview of what we went through here in DuPage County. About 2 weeks ago today, this was put out by the National Weather Service showing the area of impact for the county. Well, we'll go back one slide here. And there we are, right in the thick of it. And the Weather Service forecasted about 4.2 inches of rain for our area. We got a lot more. Starting on Wednesday morning, the 17th, rain began, Wednesday afternoon, just north of the county. By that evening, it was over us, and it continued to rain. At that time, Dave Adler was here as EOC manager, and he was in contact with stormwater, and it continued to rain. And we brought our next shift in, and it's still raining, and it continued all the way until Thursday evening when it began to slow down. And the storms stayed over our county. The total rainfall that we had in DuPage varied. The total was about 7.5 inches. Again, the forecast was for about 4.5. Weather Service tells us we can handle about 3 inches without having major impact. And over that, things get a little bit dicey. I will ask Sarah in just a couple of minutes here to speak to how stormwater handled this and what they did with respect to their assets. And you can see at the bottom of the screen for the west branch of the DuPage River, 11.5 feet is flood stage. It was forecast to crest at 14.5, and it topped out just under 17 inches. 17.5 feet. Thank you. Makes a big difference. We have compiled the preliminary information that we got from the municipalities and ranked them in order of impact and geography, so you wouldn't be crisscrossing the county during your journey. Of course, we can change this based upon your needs and where you'd like to go first. But this is what we're planning to start with, is the southern half of the counties. We used I-88 as the north-south divider, beginning with Lisle, Downers Grove, and Naperville. And then not too far from our office is a large unincorporated area that got walloped pretty good, the Valley View subdivision. And then, depending on your schedule and timing, the northeast part of the county with Lombard, Elmhurst, another large area of large impact, and then Winfield, Wheaton. We are in Wheaton right now, so that's in our own neighborhood there. We can pick that up. And the rest of the communities are here. They're just as important, but a smaller impact. So we can adjust this as your schedule fits. Some of the things that we did here in the county, we dispensed 100,000 sandbags. We had to protect. This is the first time ever. The image you see on the right, it's kind of hard to see in here. Dave, could you drop the lights just a little bit? Thanks. Is a loading dock just across the street for the government campus. And it's the first time ever we took on that amount of water. We actually had to close the campus on Thursday, the 18th, because there was no place to park. Our EOC was activated from Wednesday afternoon all the way till Friday night continuously, then again all day Saturday because the calls were still coming in, and we reactivated on Sunday morning for the rest of the day on Sunday. And we're still taking calls, but we're not operating out of the EOC. The Red Cross opened 2 shelters, first at Benedictine University, and then we moved on to Liberty Trinity Church. ComEd brought in a portable command center and a number of generators to a facility in Hinsdale. And we also so far have dispensed about 500,000 cleanup kits that were donated by the Red Cross and the American people. And
500.
What did I say?
500,000.
500,000. That's another big difference. Yeah. 500. Thank you. It may have seemed like 500,000 to Dave Adler, who headed up that operation, but 500 kits, and there are more on the way, and that's part of that operation. And this is where we are now, is at recovery. If we have just a moment, I'd like to just show you a very quick clip from Channel 7, which kind of summarizes what we went through here.
Well, Ron, tonight, officials at the village of Lisle have declared a state of emergency after more than 7 inches of rain has fallen on this community. It is a flooded ghost town tonight, as nearly 1,000 customers are without power. And here at this apartment complex, tonight, it is literally living up to its name. Tonight at the towers of Four Lakes Village in unincorporated Lisle, it is one big lake. The apartment complex was evacuated as residents scrambled to safety from the rising flood waters. This resident had to be rescued after he was stranded in his truck. Earlier today, Chopper 7 HD captured these images that showed the magnitude and the destruction of the spring storm.
We have an indoor parking garage, and every single car that was in that parking garage is completely totaled and completely flooded.
Mother Nature's fury was on full display under the weight of the raging waters as the lakes overflowed. Volunteers were sandbagging as the rain continued to fall on this already saturated community.
The last time I seen it flooded like this was about 1959 or 1960.
Cars in several homes were submerged as streets became rivers, and the only mode of transportation was by boat. Lisle and Woodridge fire officials went door to door, checking to see if any residents were trapped inside their homes.
A lot of people missed work today because they couldn't get to work because, the police wouldn't let nobody in or out of the complex.
Displaced residents took refuge here at Benedictine University, not knowing what they will return home to when it's finally safe to assess the damage.
At one point, we were up to 120 people in here. Now we're probably down to about 100. When they look at the Army cut, they're not real happy about staying here, but really they don't have any other option.
So that is what we've gone through in the last couple of weeks. With that, Sarah, would you like to talk for a moment or two on how your agency was stormwater?
Basically what we've done over the past 25 to 30 years in stormwater management is try to mitigate for the flooding. It usually happens after a flood where we get funding and we do a project that will reduce flooding from the stream, from the rivers and streams in DuPage County. Overland drainage isn't something that we necessarily utilize as our primary focus. We try to reduce the flooding in areas adjacent to the streams and rivers. We have several facilities. I heard one gentleman mention the Elmhurst Quarry. That is something we own and operate. We divert water from Salt Creek. It goes through a tunnel underneath Illinois Route 83. And goes into this quarry, and it holds approximately just under 3 billion gallons just in this quarry. We opened that up on Wednesday evening. I think at that time the National Weather Service was still at the lower end of their prediction. It still was around 4.5 inches. It hadn't increased yet, but we knew that this was going to be a large operation. We opened up that quarry, started diverting water, and on Wednesday evening, in addition to that, we have several other facilities, some that are gravity operated, some that are gate operated along Salt Creek, the East Branch, and the West Branch of DuPage River. All of our facilities went into operation. Several of them filled completely. Elmhurst Quarry is not one that filled completely, although it did get quite full. The Wooddale Itasca Reservoir, which is it helps protect Wooddale and Itasca in the northeastern portion of the county, just off Salt Creek. That filled completely. I believe it filled completely very early in the morning, Friday morning, and that was when we saw the peak, around when we saw the peak on Salt Creek. So that is what we were seeing. We were watching the peaks and trying to use our facilities to reduce the peaks and help reduce some of the issues that you guys are going to be walking through today. I don't know if you guys have any questions on what we do. Usually after this, after you guys do your walkthrough, sometimes there's a declaration, and when that declaration makes it to our way, obviously grant monies become available at that time. We have a comprehensive flood-prone property buyout list, and we take that list and we just start applying to IEMA, who then goes through FEMA for funding to purchase homes. We use that money with our money allocated from County Board to try to reduce the amount of flood-prone properties here in DuPage County.
How many were considered substantially damaged? Do you know that number yet?
No, I know that, and I actually had just emailed our person that's in charge of community development for unincorporated DuPage County, and asked him if what their schedule was on their walkthrough. They have groups and teams set up to go walk through unincorporated DuPage County this week, where they will be going through the substantial damage software and determining how many homes were indeed substantially damaged.
And do you have an accurate estimate of the amount of percentage-wise, and it could just be an estimate of the amount of floodplain inside the county?
I can get that to you before this meeting's over, but I can't.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I assume you mean 100-year floodplain.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
You know, it could then, I assume that those areas, especially Lyle, would be affected, and that's probably where we start to work our way out.
Right.
So, are there any areas that are currently still underwater that we would be traveling to, or is it pretty much receded everywhere?
All of the areas that are directly adjacent to rivers and streams have receded. We have seen some inland areas that maybe they get overland drainage that are now acting like giant retention ponds, and that water's receding much slower.
Okay.
But our rivers and streams have gone down back to their normal elevations.
Are there in the county, are there communities that do not participate in the National Flood Insurance Program?
I don't know the answer to that.
I do believe there are, I could get this for you from our hazard mitigation plan that we've worked on with OEM. The county as a whole, unincorporated DuPage County, participates in the National Flood Insurance Program. And with that, we have a very comprehensive stormwater ordinance that all of the municipalities within DuPage County are required to adopt. We do have a few municipalities that are opt-out communities because they're adjacent to another county, Kane County or Cook County. And I can't speak for those municipalities, but I do believe that any municipalities under our ordinance are responsible for the National Flood Insurance Program. They may not all be CRS communities, but they are, I believe, part of the National Flood Insurance Program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Sarah? Stormwater? All right, well, we'll be here for a few minutes. Thank you, Sarah. Carmi, would you like to show us briefly what you were able to do for us with GIS?
Can I borrow your pointer? And
Yes, you may. And just tell me which screen you want.
Also, while she's getting set up, we do have several municipalities, a handful of municipalities that fall within multiple counties, just to make you aware of. Probably the first one we would be visiting would be Naperville, which we might get to later today, but I know that in past IA and PA assessments, that's something that in some cases FEMA said, you know, we'll cover this whole county or we'll cover the whole city and get Cook their info and stuff. So I don't know how you want to handle that, but just something to be aware of. Naperville, in fact, is in.
It's in DuPage and Will.
Okay, so it's only two counties, and same thing with Bartlett and several other municipalities fall in multiple counties, just to make you aware.
Did I hit a button? Was that my fault? Okay, everyone. Again, my name is Carmela Birdie with DuPage GIS. Just real quick, Craig spoke about the damage assessment reports that the municipalities compiled. What I did was take all of the addresses that they listed out in their reports, which was around 9,000 different addresses, and I geocoded them to fall along the address ranges in which they represent. So these are approximate, but they are a nice visual representation of the hardest hit areas here in the county. You can see Downers Grove, Lyle, up here in Glen Ellen and Lombard. Those are had the highest amounts of affected parcels. Now, that's obviously a municipal report, so if they said the parcel's affected, no one's gone out and looked at it yet. So please be aware that these are preliminary and they are approximate. But you can also see the floodplain. Help me out here, Sarah. The orange is the 100, and the blue is the 500, and the pink is the, you can go to the legend.
I have to get a little closer. Sorry.
Yeah. So the pink here would be the floodway of the base map. Yep. The orange would be the 100-year flood, and then the 500 is in blue, which you can't see much of.
That does seem to be the way this is mapped. It's a little different than ours. But yeah, yes, I think that is correct. The yellow is the 100-year.
Yep. So you guys can see that as well. Now, the municipal reports were given to me by address, so they were geocoded to points. Craig, if you switch to the unincorporated map. Thank you. The unincorporated maps was actually done based on PIN number, parcel identification number. So we actually have the entire parcel done. If you could maybe just zoom in right here a little bit. And the parcels are represented in red, and then the purple around the parcels is the subdivision that has the parcel fell in. So at the bottom of the map, there's a list of 97 different subdivisions that were affected in unincorporated DuPage County, and the number of parcels per subdivision. It's this way.
Yeah, I'm trying to get her over here.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Carmen.
No, the PDFs are difficult to show on the screen.
Here we
so you
go.
can see the number of parcels affected here, and then the subdivision, and then the plat of surveys. So the subdivision document number is also included where that is available.
Here we go. I'm sorry it took so long.
And again, I want to stress approximate. For the PIN numbers, the locations are pretty spot on because it's the parcel, but for the municipal maps, it is very approximate based on address ranges. It's not plopped down right on their property line or anything like that. So are there any questions?
Don't apologize. This is much more information than what we've ever received. So thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, no problem. I do have larger maps for you guys to take out. I believe there's 2 teams, so there's one municipal and one unincorporated for each team. And then I have some municipal handouts. I didn't get the unincorporated printed in time, but if you guys want to take one, if you want it, they're yours. So.
That's the extent of my briefing. At this time, I'll turn it back to Dave, if you have any other questions, or Dave Adler, and thank you, and we'll be here.
Just briefly seeing this, are there any other maps or any mapping related stuff that you would want to you'd want us to develop for you, or that would be helpful? Or
I only have one question, not in regards to the maps, but you guys have submitted a lot of information to us, and for that we thank you. Has there been anything else that we need to include into this? Is this all up to date as of maybe this morning? This is the current information.
Yes, as much as we could get. One thing I'd ask you to keep in mind, because we were only given a couple of days to put this together. We still have shelters open. We still have people looking for cleanup kits, and we have. We had a congressional tour the other day, so we did the best we could in a very short time.
So what you have are the sheets, so before we leave, we'll have to split them up, because we're going to the same town.
Yes. Well, and our first stop is in Lisle, and we're actually meeting at the Village Hall for the police officer who also serves as their emergency management coordinator to go over with us, a short overview of their town. So from there